radio for the masses. How you doing? Today's Wednesday, May 11th, 132 days into the new year. Just 232 days left. We are live from a bunker right here, somewhere in downtown Burbank, California. I'd like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States, hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black. For KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the Planet. I'm your oh-so-humble host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking? I love it when I get to the what is cracking part, because I just know we're about to do another Fade to Black. All right. Let's get comfortable, peoples. Kids. Phone the neighbors. Stop that pizza guy out front. Get ready, because tonight we have with us the one and only Linda Moulton Howe. She is back, and it's going to be a Earth Files type of evening tonight. We've got lots of stuff. Linda is always on the front, cutting edge, and we're going to do it all tonight. Later on in the show, we're going to have with us Paul Andrews and Victoria Gavoyan are going to be here, the producers of Contact in the Desert. They're going to give us a sneak preview of what to expect at this year's Shindig in the Desert. And, you know, that is called Contact in the Desert. Call-in number tonight is 323-825-5045. And I believe that tonight, Paul and Victoria are going to give away a couple of passes. Yeah, man. So, if you can go, do not call in if you can't go. If you can go, then we're going to give away a couple of passes tonight. First callers on the list that come in. All right? And if you don't go, you win the pass tonight and you don't show, you're a no-show, punted, blocked, forever banished to the corner. You're going to hang out with Les for the rest of your life. And trust me, you can ask Les what that's like. Yeah. Call-in number tonight is 323-825-5045. And as a reminder, tomorrow night is Fader Night. Open lines all night long, and we've got the one and only John Rappaport right here and his very own No More Fake Newsroom. Follow us on Twitter tonight at JChurchRadio. That's what you want to do, at JChurchRadio. Come and hang out in the sandbox, hashtag F2B, hashtag F, the number 2, and the letter B, F2B. Hashtag F2B is the sandbox. Great place to hang out. Real-time interaction throughout the show. Of course, there's the Spreaker chat room and the KGRA chat room. Hanging out. Let's do this, man. You can also email throughout the show, Jimmy at jimmychurchradio.com. Any of your questions or comments during the show? Man, and it was on fire last night, wasn't it? John Lear. Just use the hashtag F2BQ. That's right, Q for questions. You can figure it out. Hashtag F2BQ. We'll get it straight here. Twitter is always live to my left here in the bunker. And Rita, could you, I'll do it now. Rita, go ahead and send me our latest winner for Contact in the Desert. We have one for tonight's show, and we will announce that in just a second. Very cool. Always remember, if you want to support the show, easiest, fastest, bestest way to do it is just go visit one of our sponsors, Life Change Tea, getthetea.com. I've been doing the dropper moringa this week, and I got to tell you, I said it last night, that is some tasty stuff. Did it right before showtime. Yes. Just use the promo code Jimmy, get free shipping on your order. The banners are right there at jimmychurchradio.com. Also, Studio Dome. And their new TWS, or it's, better known as the True Wireless Stereo Bluetooth technology. It is the latest. It is in stereo. That kit has two of the new SBB2 speakers and power for just $129. Hard shell case. Take it anywhere. Take it to the park. Take it to your back patio. Use the promo code JCRTWS and you've got a high fidelity slamming stereo system. That's over 60% off of the normal price at $399. And of course you get free shipping. Everything is right there. Now, tonight, Victoria and Paul are going to be here. The producers of Contact in the Desert. That is coming up in 3 short weeks. June 3rd through the 6th in Joshua Tree, California. Full slate of speakers. It's an enormous event. Yes, Graham Hancock, Robert Bivall, Linda Moulton Howe, she's on with us tonight, Giorgio and Wilcock, Von Daniken, Nori, Mars, Childress, Jason. Jason has one name now. Martell just goes with Jason. Going to see Jason this weekend. So anyway, 40 other speakers. It's an absolutely amazing event. Everything is there at jimmychurchradio.com. And then, of course, the Roswell Festival is right after that, June 30th through July 3rd. And then the Awareness Life Expo up at the Crown Plaza Hotel in Sacramento, California. And that is August 13th and 14th. Again, all of the information is over at jimmychurchradio.com. There's a little section right there on the right-hand side. Easy enough to find. It just says Jimmy's Appearances. It's right there. It was announced today, the new TalkStream Live Top 50, the Power 50 talk show host, streaming talk shows in the country. And there we came in at the big number 33. Yeah, we just posted it. Very cool. Very, very cool. Such a humbling honor. But we made it, and we posted it. So there, go. Do it. Check it out. Look at the list of 50. And we're right there. Not quite in the middle. A little below half at 33. Very cool. All right, let's go. Let's get the show cracking. Today, Eric Burdon is 75 years old. Of course, he was the lead singer of the Animals, sang House of the Rising Sun, and also worked with the band War. And, I used to work at Guitar Center on Sunset Boulevard, and which is, it's a huge music store. And half of the music store there, the pro audio section, used to be a rehearsal and recording studio in the late 60s, early 70s. And then it was taken over by Ronnie James Dio. And Ronnie, that was his rehearsal spot. I think Rough Cut rehearsed there and all those bands that worked with Wendy Dio. But anyway, back in the day, and this is how the story goes. Things get clouded over the years, but this is the story. That Spill the Wine, that song by War that Eric Burdon sang, was recorded in that room that is now Guitar Center. And allegedly, this is the story, that Eric Burdon was so high on acid that they went out and got a refrigerator box, a cardboard box that surrounds a refrigerator, right? And put it in the studio sideways so he could climb into the box with a microphone and record Spill the Wine. I'm just saying, I don't know. Allegedly, that's how it went down. So the next time you hear Spill the Wine by War, think about that story that I just told you is probably true. All right. Our dead guy's birthday today is Salvador Dali. 1904 to 1989, died at the age of 84. Lived to see it all. 1904 to 1989, you've seen everything. And of course he was known for his painting, The Persistence of Memory, the melting clocks and other dreamlike images that were there. But his eccentric and flamboyant appearance included that crazy mustache that was inspired by Diego Velázquez, the 17th century Spanish painter. Now, Dali, highly imaginative, enjoyed indulging in an unusual lifestyle and behavior. Loved him for it. He was completely out of control, and that's why we loved him so much. But his eccentric manner and attention-grabbing public actions, in my opinion, sometimes drew more attention to him than his artwork. And all of the artists around the world loved him for that and his artwork. But his critics, it drove them wild. And that's why we love Salvador Dali. Salvador, happy birthday. On this day in history in 1997, yes, it happened. On May 11th, chess grandmaster Garry Kasparov resigns after 19 moves in a game against IBM's Deep Blue, the chess-playing computer developed by those scientists over there at the great IBM. This was the sixth and final game of their match, which Kasparov lost 2-1 with 3 draws. Yeah. Fate or fact, nearly 1 tourist has died every week in Hawaii on average from 2012 to 2015. That's a fate or fact, and it's been vetted. Tonight, we have very special guest Linda Moulton Howe. She's back with us. We're going to go through the headlines, dance around the world, and discuss all of her latest research and reports. Later on in the show, we're going to have Paul Andrews and Victoria Gavoyan right here from Contact in the Desert, and we're going to give away a couple of passes to that big soiree out in Joshua Tree. The call-in number is 323-825-5045. Tomorrow night is Fader Night with John Rappaport and his No More Fake newsroom. Now, I wanted to talk really quick about something that's very important. Last night we had John Lear on, and he made a couple of statements last night that I thought were profound. Lee Spiegel was on the show last night, too, for a little bit, and Lee called today and said, Jimmy, after I was on the show last night, I decided to hang out and listen to the show. And I got to tell you, John Lear is on top of his game right now. And I said, he is. And he said one thing last night that just stuck with me. I wanted to ask you about it. So what's that? He said, John said that we are aliens. We were dropped off here millions of years ago. And it just got me thinking. Yeah, John said that last night, and I sort of agree with him. Now, over the last few years, and this is kind of how you need to look at things. If I was, say 10 years from now, and I was speaking with somebody and they said, where do you get your information from? And I said, well, my research, if I was an author, if I was a researcher. And I said, what I've done over the last 10 years is once a week I have interviewed a researcher, a scientist, an author. For the last 10 years, I've compiled 400 interviews over 10 years. And somebody, that would ask me a question like that, and you slap that credential on them, it's like, wow, this guy is, 400 interviews over 10 years. That's insane. That's an insane amount of research. Well, I've actually done that in 3 years. Now, when you compile that kind of information, it's one thing to interview and collect, but also what goes on with that is what happens behind the scenes. I'm reading, I'm researching, I'm constantly the sponge, and I've done that for my entire life. And so when John said that last night, I agreed with him. And there's no reason to contest that because, well, we don't know. That's the first thing. The second thing is what I have spoken about so much about this over, I've probably mentioned this on a couple hundred shows. I've done this over and over again. And if you've listened to this show enough, you know my view on this. But this is kind of like a compilation of thought. And it's this. The Earth is 4.5 billion years old. It's 4.5 billion years old. Salvador Dali was born in 1904 and died in the late 80s. So what did he see in that time period. And I've said it before, somebody that was born in 1900 and died in 1970 saw everything from covered wagons and horses, gas lamps, to the invention of electricity and telephones and telegraphs and cars and planes, and then jet planes and jet airliners and transoceanic cables and telegraphs and phones, and all the way through cell phones and color TVs and stereo and radio and AM and FM and technology just happening left and right. All the way through, not only the moon landings and Apollo and Mars and Voyager and Pioneer 11 and all of that, but Jimi Hendrix. You go from vaudeville to Jimi Hendrix in a lifetime, but that's only 70 years. It's only 70. Right now we're in 2016. We've seen lots of advances in technology. We have. The internet and the Internet of Things is a mind-blowing possession that we have now, a technology that we all carry with us every day. That's what we do. Now it's worked its way down to watches. So we've kind of lost sight of where we are today. Computers and technology and smart cars and self-driving cars. This is all reality now. And sensors, I'm so acclimated to the sensors on our cars now that I can't even change lanes without listening for the beep or looking for that little signal, that little warning light in the side view mirrors, right? That technology is all around us, but we've got here in just 100 short years. And if we back things up and we just go back to year zero to now, 2,000 years to now, we're at 2016. That is a huge jump in everything. And if you want to add a couple of thousand years here or there, go ahead, have at it. Go back to Mesopotamia. Go back to the wheel. Let's start there, right? Okay, so the last 4,500 years, last 5,000 years. But in the big scheme of things, it's nothing. It's an absolute blip on the age of the earth. It's a blip. It's less than a blip. You stretch that out to 4.5 billion years, and you throw that 5,000 years on the end of that. How much time is it? It's nothing. You can't even measure it. It's so small. And if you back off of just this thing, and I've talked about this a lot, but it's very important for all of us just to kind of get a grasp at the naysayers out there about ET visitation or interference or DNA interference. They don't know nothing. Nobody knows anything. Nobody knows nothing. And the reason why I'm bringing all of this up, we're going to continue here in just a second. There was a post today that was brought to my attention on YouTube that said, Jimmy, man, you know what? You're not as smart as I thought you were, because E.T. would never come here and just exterminate us. They're much smarter than us and more advanced, and that's the way that it is, and we're the primitive one. And you know what? Maybe, but you don't know. You don't know. It's nice to have an opinion, have your theory, and all of this, but that doesn't make me dumb or smart or you smart or dumb or anything. It has nothing to do with it. The point is that I've always made on this show is we don't know. We don't know. We know nothing. Absolutely nothing. What you can't depend on for a fact is a college textbook that says ancient history. You're going to go take that class, and that book is worthless. Because anybody that's going to talk about what went on with Nebuchadnezzar and Iraq at, whatever, pick a date. They don't know. They don't know those dates. They're it's all up in the air. They don't know. The history of the kings going back. Look at the Anunnaki or the dynasties in Egypt. We don't know. We don't know those dates. So, 5,000 years at the end of that 4.5 billion year run that we've had here on planet Earth is a blip. And beyond that, going backwards, it's all guesswork. Göbekli Tepe, guesswork. Atlantis, we don't know. Age of the Pyramids, don't know. Sphinx, don't know. Don't tell me you do because you don't. I don't care who it is. Could be 100,000 years old. Could be 10,000. And if you take that chunk of time, allegedly man being here at 150,000 years, you take that little chunk, that little space, and what makes us unique and that 150,000 year run? What makes us so unique? I'll tell you right now, we're the only ones. We are it. There's nobody else on planet Earth doing what we are doing. Now, Rita and I were talking the other night about this very subject. And she brought up one point that I'm going to mention, just a little bit of it right now. We are the only ones that control our destiny. On planet Earth. That's it. We make decisions. Bad ones, good ones. Cell phones, what kind do you want? Animals don't make those decisions. They don't go to a cell phone store and whip out a wallet, buy a car, pick out a college, pick out a job, a destiny, a career, have a child, not have a child, at this hospital or this. We are it. We are the only ones. And in 150,000 years, we have turned into what we are today. That 150,000 year blip on the end of everything can be inserted anywhere in that 4.5 billion year timeline. How many times have there been catastrophic extinctions, mass extinctions around the world? Well, you know, some say 5. We don't know. In 4.5 billion years, could have happened thousands of times. Restarting. We don't know. We just don't know. And as time moves on, the one thing that we are sure about is things disappear. And in the 1,000 years, let's go back 1,000 years. You know, what's left standing? Well, rocks, right? Megaliths. Anything else, it's gone. It's gone. So if we, 1 million years ago, 2 million years ago, 5 million years ago, pick a date, and we came and went, there would be no evidence of anything of us being there. And so when John made that statement last night, truer words have not been spoken. As crazy and as fantastical as that may be to some people out there, it's one of the most factual things that you can say. Why? We don't know. And nobody does. Anybody that tells you that they do know is lying. Because they don't know. Nobody knows. What we need to have is people here, right now, around us, that think about these things. If that ancient history 101 textbook distributed across the country, if it started out on page 1 and said, you know what, everything that follows here is just theory, because we don't know. So, as you are getting your education on in this fine university, think outside the box. Come up with some new answers. Think about it, because we just don't know. This book is a guide. It's just here to assist and to cause you to think. And that's what we need more of. We need more John Lears to cause us to think. And before I say outside the box, that's exactly what I'm talking about. There is just no way in 4.5 billion years where we don't remember yesterday that anybody knows anything that went on past 2,000 years ago, 2,100, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years, 5,000 years ago. It's guesswork. And it's theory. Great. Give it to us. But don't tell us that that is the way that it is. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. Tonight, Linda Moulton Howe is here, one of the great thinkers, one of the great researchers. Presented her with the Lifetime Achievement Award back at the Conscious Life Expo. It was such an honor. Tonight, she is back with us for the first time, I believe, since we presented her with that award. The world needs more John Lears, Graham Hancocks. We need more people thinking, suggesting. And tonight, we're going to do that in spades with Linda Moulton Howe. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Let's do this, and then we'll do that. This is Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. Follow us right now on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. Short break. You know what to do. When I come back, Linda Moulton Howe. Stay right there.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
What's up, revolutionaries? It's me, Jimmy Church. Do you have an IRS or state tax issue? Well, I did, and I called national tax experts. My problems were fixed, done, fini, and man, I got to tell you, it was a relief. National tax experts are a recognized tax office that services clients in all 50 states. It doesn't matter where you live. Give them a call. I'm telling you, they take the time to understand each and every client's individual financial status as well as their financial goals. And that's exactly what you need, my brother, when you're taking on the evil three-letter. So, seriously. Give them a call today at 1-877-909-5444. Again, 1-877-909-5444. Or go check out their website, www.nattaxexperts.com. That's NATTAXEXPERTS.com. Tell them Jimmy sent you.
Health in America is becoming a top priority. Or maybe I should say, good health in the world is becoming a top priority. Maintaining a healthy body can be challenging. How about letting Life Change Tea help you? Our tea you make, you drink, and you benefit. Our unique blend of 8 different herbs helps you maintain good digestion, a healthy colon, and detoxes harmful toxins and parasites out of your body. And you know what? It tastes great. If you're wanting a change, a life change when it comes to health, log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Or you can call us at 928-308-0408. That's 928-308-0408. When you log on to our mobile-friendly website, you can read all the numerous testimonies of how Life Change Tea has helped so many people. We carry many, many beneficial products that help your health and keep you on track. Getthetea.com. Kind of gets in your head, doesn't it? Getthetea.com.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Hi, this is Chase Kletsky with Fate Magazine Radio, and you're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station, where the Fade or Nots rock.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
right, welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, that's right, Linda Moulton Howe is back with us. We're going to wind her up and let her go. You know how we do it. Later in the show, we're going to have Paul Andrews and Victoria Gavayan here, producers of Contact in the Desert. We're going to give away some passes tonight. The call-in number is 323-825-5045. We'll open up the phone lines when we get Paul and Victoria in here. Tomorrow night's Fader Night. Open lines all night long. John Rappaport and his No More Fake Newsroom. But first, before I bring Linda on, going to give away a pass right now to Contact in the Desert. And that winner is Eric Hemstreet of Los Angeles, California. Eric Hemstreet, you are going to Contact in the Desert. Congratulations. We are contacting you now. Congratulations, Eric. Right on. Way to do it. Way to play it. Now, Linda Moulton Howe. Yes, she is an Emmy Award-winning TV producer, investigative reporter. She's an author who goes directly to the men and women at the forefront of science and environmental challenges, and she's a firsthand witness of high strangeness. Now, Ms. Howe has received local, national, and international awards, including 3 regional Emmys and a national Emmy nomination. She has traveled throughout the United States, Canada, Brazil, England, Norway, Egypt, Ethiopia, Kenya, Australia, Japan, Peru, Venezuela, Switzerland, France, Sweden, the Netherlands, Germany, Italy, Turkey, Yugoslavia, Mexico, and the Yucatan, Puerto Rico, all for research and productions. She's been interviewed by Larry King and Day and Date, CBS Strange Universe, Fox, NBC's The Other Side, of course, Montel, and Britain's Union Pictures, and The Learning Channel. Also, for NBC's The Mysterious Origins of Man. Major guest, always on Coast to Coast AM, and of course right here in Fade to Black, and her own show over on KGRA Phenomenon Radio. I'd like to welcome back Linda Moulton Howe. Linda, good evening, young lady. How are you?
Hey, Jimmy, thank you. And it's nice to be back with you at a time where it seems that the number of high strangeness cases are increasing every day now. You probably feel and see it, too.
Yeah, and I do. And we were talking about that earlier today. I was talking to John Lear about that last night. And Linda, I want to catch you off guard like I normally do. And John said last night that he was with you back in the mid-'80s somewhere, and you guys were driving in the desert going down to see Clifford Stone, I believe. Do you remember this?
Oh, yes. I believe the year was, I think it was 86.
And you guys found a bunch of cattle that were no longer alive. Do you remember that?
Yeah, and that was one heck of a trip where, yes, they may have been mutilated animals. It's not clear after a certain length of time, but it was eerie because John and I had been in Albuquerque, and we had talked with Ernie Edwards, who had signed the document from Coyote Canyon about the alleged silver disc that landed in Coyote Canyon. I think that was in the September 1980 time period, somewhere in there, and that there had been all kinds of UFO activity. And why is Coyote Canyon so sensitive to our military? Because underground in Coyote Canyon are nukes. And the general world is not supposed to know that, and the very fact that the silver disc landed was really a major violation, and we went to talk with Ernie Edwards about all of that, and then we decided that we would drive down to talk with Clifford Stone at his place down in Roswell. And on the way, we were, I believe, I think that we were south of Corona, and we were on a stretch of highway headed toward Roswell, and it was somewhere in that region that we had seen these strange, dry carcasses, and we're back on the road, and all of a sudden, a big black, I'm going to say jet of some kind, because I don't know what it was, dropped. It was like it dropped straight down, nose down, coming maybe a mile or two in front of us, but almost as if it were coming down to the road. We're in a large pickup truck. John is driving. I'm in the passenger seat. And I believe I tried to open the window to get a clearer look of what has dropped out of the sky, but he was going fast and it was hard. So I closed back up the window. And at that point, to my complete and total shock, and John's, whatever this was, it did a turn coming straight at us, but not straight down the road. It was off, like if you go think of the shoulder of a road and then go out maybe 15 or 20 feet from the shoulder and up maybe 50, 75 feet. That's the way it appeared. This aircraft was coming straight toward us off to the right. And I didn't know that under a coat that was in the middle of that front seat and had been there all the time, that John grabbed the coat, threw it in the back, and here was this big gun. And he picked up this big gun, he aimed it at the front window, and he said, "That MF!" And his finger is squeezing, and I screamed, "John, no! You can't shoot the window. You're going to kill both of us." And it took him a while to lower that gun, but his reaction was whatever it was coming, and he was going to shoot it.
He left that part of the story out last night.
Well, it really did happen, and whatever this was, why ever it did this, it passed on the right, the passenger side, so close and so low to the ground that in my lifetime, I've never seen anything like it. And it kept going, and neither one of us ever had any idea why that would have occurred, but that it absolutely did happen with John Lear.
Yeah, he said last night, he goes, "Jimmy, I got to tell you, man, of all the people that is with me when I see my first cattle like that, it's Linda Moulton Howe." He goes, "What were the odds of that?" And
well, I want to talk with you tonight about new cases, and wondered we can either start with what we had talked about, the Sphinx report, and go to mutilations, or go mutilations to Sphinx report. I'll let you tell me what you would like to do.
Let's do the thing is, and I don't know if you heard me talk at the beginning, but let's start with the Sphinx because of the age and the timeline that we could possibly be talking about here. I think is significant. And
yes.
What I was talking about opening up the show tonight was, you know what, when it comes to the ages of things and how old the Earth is, 4.5 billion years old. And honestly, we know nothing about what has gone on 1 million years ago or 2 million, 5 million. Anybody that says that they is lying. They don't know, because we're making discoveries every single day that is killing the established education dogma out there that is being fed to us. And this Sphinx story is absolutely insane. And
well, it is fascinating, Jimmy, and let's start with what a Defense Intelligence Agency guy told me after he had retired in December of 1999. He said that his job for 23 years with the Defense Intelligence Agency was to monitor and analyze the geopolitical territorial conflicts of 3 competing extraterrestrial biological entity civilizations on this Earth and in other parts of the solar system and our galaxy. And he talked very seriously. It was like a 7.5-hour discussion. It was a meeting that was put together in Baltimore by a man who worked for the World Bank, and the DIA guy had approached him because he knew me, and my third book, Glimpses of Other Realities, Volume 2, High Strangeness, had been out for a couple of months, and this man wanted to talk with me about a section in my book called, which has to do with what is the abductees refer to as resurrection technology, and that he had been exposed to this in his work, And that's what he wanted to talk to me about. And for a quick summary, there is a very large chapter in my book, Glimpses of Other Realities, Volume 2, in which half a dozen people in the abduction syndrome, all different years, different parts of the country, everybody's different. Nobody knows in either each other or anything else. The common denominator is that each one of them at some point got in touch with me. Some sent me drawings. And I put these together in this chapter because I found this to be fascinating, the concept of bodies used as camouflage, used as containers in which the life force could be put in and out at will by advanced intelligences. Where have you heard that recently? That's what Tom DeLonge is writing about in Electric Machines, and saying that currently that there are military and intel people that are talking to him about this very same subject. Now, so saying that right now we have the possibility of leaks that are the same as my book, Glimpses Volume 2, came out in 1989. We're talking about brand new information now, but it's the same information. And it sets the stage for something that this DIA guy told me in December 1999. He said that our government has proof, he used that word, that there have been competing intelligences, and those were the words he used to me in 99, where today Tom DeLonge is saying that the government people are more comfortable now with the phrase the others. It's the same thing. And so the man talking to me in December 1999 said that these advanced intelligences had been on this planet for at least 270 million years, terraforming, harvesting genetic material, mixing, matching genes, and that what we'll call the Greek mythology of a war between the Titans and Zeus, they were really part of this advanced intelligence competing with each other on this planet, and that someday that they hope that they could open up this truth, that the so-called legends and mythologies of gods with a little g are part of the reality of this planet, terraforming, and now we come to what was constructed in a 270 million year landscape by things that can neutralize gravity, can do all kinds of technologies, including moving point-to-point, space-time. All of that was described to me. It's being described to Tom DeLonge as well. And that there were at least competitions and wars, just like we hear about the wars between the Titans and Zeus and Enlil and Enki and on and on and on. Well, if you come to the area of Mesopotamia and that desert middle part of the world, and you go back to what is considered currently the oldest single structure, it is the Sphinx. Göbekli Tepe, where I have been, is carbon dated now a huge hilltop 12,000 years ago. So keep that in the back of your mind here. But for the Sphinx, I'm going to quote something from Mark Lehner. He is considered one of the world's most esteemed Egyptologists and a specialist in the Sphinx. And he was in a Stanford Research Institute investigation of the Sphinx in 1977 and continued to go back there and has done many experiments. And he says, quote, "The Sphinx was not assembled piece by piece, but was carved from a single mass of limestone, exposed when workers dug a horseshoe-shaped quarry in the Giza Plateau." That's how they found this. Approximately 66 feet tall, 240 feet long. Jimmy, imagine this. One massive carving, a singular carving of limestone.
Right.
And then Lerner says it is the, I think they're now saying it's the largest and oldest monolithic, meaning a singular statue known in the world, separate from, say, the multiple pillars of Göbekli Tepe that are in rings on a hill. That's the distinction here. And it's so interesting that John Anthony West and Robert Schoch, the PhD Yale geologist, I've known them for a very long time, and I can remember when the New York Times and all of the major news operations carried a story that in the early 90s that they had gone to Egypt and Robert Schoch had done all kinds of analysis of the Sphinx, and he was the first one to go on the record and say this is water weathering in the base of the Sphinx. It is not sand, it is not wind, it is water, and he gave all the reasons why. Back then, they were bashed for that statement. It was reported everywhere, but scientists attacked. But now, today, it is accepted as academic reality. Water weathering on the base of the Sphinx. And why is this so important? Even Lerner started studying what were climate changes and when was the last time that there could have been rain and more water in the Sphinx. And Schoch and West said back when they made the news, they said the Sphinx has to be at least 14,000 years old. Lerner puts it at maybe 12. So now we have this huge single mass of limestone carved into this incredible, it's a maybe female, but a human head wearing that sort of triangular and striped headdress on the body of a lion. That's what the Sphinx is. And nobody has ever known its name. The Sphinx is a mystery to everyone. It has no understanding, and the closest that anybody has come to finding any other shape that might be like the Sphinx is called in Egypt, it's R-U-T-I. And I don't know precisely how that is pronounced, but let's say Ruti. It is a double lion god guarding the horizon of the sunrise and the sunset from an entrance to the underworld, and that is reinforced by more work that Lerner did, in which there is this remarkable description about what he ended up calling it. Here's some sentences. The enormous temple and Sphinx complex might have been a resurrection machine. I'm reading right from an article by him. Okay. A resurrection machine. He says that the complex, the entire complex of the Sphinx and Cheops Pyramid, and this is now, we're going to segue to Alaska, because where this remarkable, aged, unbelievable Sphinx is, with all of its mysteries, and even described as a resurrection machine having to do with the recycling of souls in and out of the cosmos and having to do with the power of the sun and energy from the sun, that the Sphinx is 1,200 feet from the big Cheops. Now, Cheops comes much later, but everything that is from people who have studied, for example, Egypt and Giza, there are all these relationships that are mathematical relationships, astronomical relationships, latitude, longitude relationships, as if nothing was done by accident. Everything had a very precise reason for occurring. So if the Sphinx and Cheops are 1,200 feet apart in Giza outside of Cairo, and we jump to the story that came to me in April from Jared Beeler. It's at my news website, earthfiles.com. He sent me 2 or 3 emails, and this last one, he said, I would like to share with you a story I have told many times, but only to friends. And I was in the Army at the time from Fort Richardson, and it was in 2005. The month was July. I was sent up north to a mountaineering training camp for the Army, and the place was called Black Rapids. Now, what unfolded in the interview that I did with him that was on Coast a couple of weeks ago, and it is now at Earth Files, everybody can see this, is that he had UFO experiences as a kid, and he's always been interested in the fact that he and a friend saw some astonishing things where they grew up in Salmon, Idaho. Now he's up in Fort Richardson, and he has talking to some guys about what had happened in Idaho and promised them he would tell them the whole story at some point. So now they pass some things in their mountaineering exercising exams, and they are treated to going up to Kastner Glacier. Kastner Glacier on the maps that I show at Earth Files, you can see he sent some maps so that I can see from Google Earth where the Black Rapids Army camp is, where Kastner Glacier is in relationship to Black Rapids, and where Mount Denali is. And Mount Denali is where the hidden underground, what was referred to as Dark Pyramid story, came to me in 2012. And he referenced that in his first emails to me, that he had heard my Dark Pyramid story on the radio, and that he wanted me to hear this story about what happened when he and half a dozen guys with a sergeant, let's see, it was Sergeant, make sure that I say this right, if he's listening, Borellis, and that Borellis had been in various, very probably intelligence-related operations, and was very, very experienced. And he was an excellent guide of teaching these men how to climb glaciers. That was the whole point. So the night comes, and they're going to go up on the glacier the next morning. And they're sitting outside, and he says to his friends who had asked him about UFOs, okay, I'll tell you the story. And he tells the story of being out with his friend at 1 o'clock in the morning as teenagers and having these amazing encounters with something that would fall into the category of lighted UFO and a strange, icy snowman that looked exactly like gray with no tracks around it, almost as if the UFO were playing a joke on them, all of that. So he tells that story, and the guys laugh, but Sergeant Borellis does not. And Sergeant Borellis says to Jared Beeler, I have a story that I think you'd be interested in.
Now, we're going to be up against a break, so we're going to save that part for after the break. But okay. I want to set the scene what's going on here. These guys are on a mountaineering training expedition up at Kastner Glacier, which is not that far from Black Rapids. If you go to earthfiles.com and you click on the article, just go to, I think it's under environmentals, I think is the section. Environment, and scroll down, and you can look at the satellite image here of where they are at in reference to where Mount Denali / McKinley. It's still McKinley to you and I, and where they are at. So there's about a dozen of these other Army trainees, and they're all up on this mountain, and they're sitting around, basically telling ghost stories at the campfire. And Sergeant Borellis comes up and says, well, that's pretty good. But wait till you hear what I have to say. And we're going to...
Okay, we'll take it over on the other side of the break.
Yeah, because the story... Now, let's give them a little bit to chew on right here, because what he refers to and what he's about to tell them is right next to where they are. How would you have liked to have been up there when Bareilles whipped this story out, in the middle of the night?
I would have said, hey, can we go where you saw this now?
Exactly right. Let's take that break right here. And this is one of the most interesting research projects that Linda has done in a long time. It's absolutely fascinating. This is Fade to Black. Our guest tonight is Linda Moulton Howe. In a little bit, right after Linda, Paul and Victoria from Contact in the Desert are going to be here. We're going to give away some passes and talk about this year's expo that Linda is going to be speaking at as well. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. I'll be right back.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA Digital Broadcast Station.
What would your life be like if you woke up each morning with new vitality, feeling better than you have in years, and you noticed a difference in your sleeping patterns, blood sugar levels, and had a sense of well-being overall? There's something that is changing thousands of people's lives, and you could be one of them. It's called Heart and Body Extract. Sharon Harris, co-creator of Heart and Body Extract, talks about the positive effects of this product.
What happens with the formula Heart and Body Extract is it's giving the body the necessary vitamins, minerals, amino acids, enzymes, and phytonutrients so the body will heal itself. And yes, the body does have the ability to balance blood pressure, balance cholesterol, clean and unclog the arteries. It can also work on balancing the circulation for diabetics. So the body is an amazing thing. It simply needs some help so it has the tools to heal itself.
To order your 2-month supply, call now toll-free 866-295-5305. Order online at hbextract.com.
Imagine no longer being tied down to your computer, but having the freedom to take live talk radio with you anywhere you go. TalkStream Live introduces our first ever iPhone application. The talk shows you follow now follow you, and your iPhone is now the fastest and easiest way to stay connected to the best talk radio on the internet. Let TalkStream Live transform the way you listen to radio. Listen to live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Mobile talk radio from TalkStream Live. Now available in the iTunes App Store.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to jimmychurchradio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. We're of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
What's up, Fadernauts? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring 2 Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers, packed in its own custom hardshell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The 2 full-range boomboxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129, and use the promo code JCRTWS, and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go Beckley Tepe.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Linda Moulton Howe is with us. In a little bit, Victoria and Paul are going to be here from Contact in the Desert. They are the producers. I'm going to talk about a little preview of this year's event. Tomorrow night, open lines, and of course, John Rappaport will be here. All right, Linda. So the kids are on the mountain, little campfire going, telling some stories. And then the good Sergeant Barella steps up and says, okay, that's all good, but check this out. And what is it that Barella tells him?
He says about a year ago, and that would be 2004, we were down the road from here on a place called Kastner Glacier. So this is firsthand from Sergeant Barella. He had this experience. And he says, it was 4 days up Kastner Glacier, and we were walking, pulling sleds, and there, where they were, they could see another group, and there was a sphinx. And Beeler says, what do you mean sphinx? Like a cat? And Barella says, no, like the one in Egypt. And Beeler says, what are you talking about, a sphinx in Egypt there? It's like, and he says, yes, like the sphinx in Egypt. And how big was it? And Barella says, it looked like it's about the same size, and I gave you that large size of the Sphinx in Egypt at the beginning. And then he said maybe a little bit smaller, but about the same size. And he says, we all saw it, but there were military soldiers around, and that we don't know who they were, but they were heavily armed, and they had bunkers around the Sphinx, fortifying the area like they were doing some sort of research, and that he, Barella, quote, snapped off a couple of pictures, and we kind of made a sharp left turn, and we left there. We never went back that way. And Beeler said that Barella was concerned about the presence of a military operation, and he couldn't recognize the soldiers, and he came from a heavy-duty background where he had worked with CIA. So if Barella was concerned, there was good reason, and they got out of there. But those two, when he said he had two photos, so Beeler, when they did after they had done their climb and they had come back and they're all getting ready to go back to Fort Richardson, Beeler went up to Sergeant Barella and said, can you please send me copies of those photos that you took? I really want to see the Sphinx. And Barella said he would, but the story ends that Beeler has been haunted by this since the experience in July of 2005, and he never heard from Barella again, never got photos. But when he read the reports that I had done in 2012 about the alleged Dark Pyramid underground in Alaska, and he heard that there was another, in this case, Doug Muchler was the man who came to me about the Dark Pyramid originally. He had been working in U.S. Army counterintelligence, also out of Fort Richardson. And he told me that he and a group of guys had seen on television in Fort Richardson a documentary that went into the discovery of a very large pyramid when the Chinese set off a huge nuclear explosion in 1992. And in fact, I found a New York Times article dated May 22nd, 1992. China today set off the largest underground nuclear test it has ever conducted, the State Department said. The explosion was thought to have a yield of about 1 megaton, equivalent to 1 million tons of TNT. The blast, which took place about 1 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, had 70 times the explosive power of the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima and exceeded the 150 kiloton limit observed by Washington and Moscow under a 1990 treaty. The Bush administration said it regretted the action by Beijing and urged restraint and limit on underground tests. And there were sharp condemnations of China in Congress. So that's the history of why would we know about this pyramid, maybe. That's 1992, and the documentary that Doug Muchler saw later that fall was at Fort Richardson and was about how in this nuclear blast in China that seismologists had discovered this pyramid underground in Alaska.
And I want to remind everybody really quick the significance of this, because when he was there, he saw the documentary, he flips out, he's with his buddies, and I believe, Linda, correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't he go like to the news? He goes to the TV station and goes, hey, can I get a copy of that documentary? And they're like,
the general manager himself said, you must be mistaken. We have not broadcast any documentary about a pyramid in Alaska. And he was stunned. And as Doug Muchler was leaving the station extremely confused, an engineer who had overheard the conversation and had been acting like he was working came to and caught up with Doug Muchler at the door of the TV station and said, I just want you to know, I know you're telling the truth. It was run, but somebody told us that we are not to ever release it, air it again, like it never happened.
And to erase it, right? Like to erase it? Wasn't there something I mentioned? I could be wrong, but...
No, he wondered if they had erased it or if it still existed. And when he contacted me, he said, can you try to get in touch with the TV stations in Fort Richardson and see if there's any possibility as a TV producer to them that you can find this original documentary. I called up the channel, I think it's 13 and 2. I talked with the program directors in both. One had an archivist. Nothing went back later than approximately 2000 something. The other station said we don't have any money for archivists, and if we have anything from 1992 or that period of time, it's in boxes on a floor where nothing has been cleaned for decades. I mean, it was like if they had anything from that period of time, they weren't going to look for it, and they didn't know if they had it, and it was a weird experience just talking with these people at the TV station. Well, now, when Beeler, when he got in touch with me in April, he said when Sergeant Bareilles told us that there were all of these unrecognizable military people with all of this heavy-duty stuff built up around this Sphinx, that what he remembered when he finally saw my reports and heard the radio about the underground pyramid, he said, you had on a pilot, or that was the son of the pilot, and he said that he had flown from the western side of Alaska toward Mount Denali, or McKinley it was known then, and that he was carrying a very special cargo, and the son who got in touch with me, his father was on that helicopter with that pilot. And in the discussion between the two military people, the discussion was, what are they carrying this equipment for, and where are they going, and why? And the helicopter pilot told his military friend, quote, this site is as super secret a situation as the Manhattan Project was, which was the development of the atomic bomb. Nobody is supposed to know this place even exists. This thing is some kind of power generator, and it's thousands of years old. It's made out of stone like a pyramid. They don't know where it came from. They don't know who made it or how it works, but it can generate enough power to power the whole North Slope, all of Alaska, and probably the whole country of Canada, close quote. that was what the U.S. Air Force Huey pilot said to the man that I was interviewing. His father was aboard that helicopter and told the wife and the son about this extraordinary trip, and that when the helicopter got over a site approximately 60 miles west of then Mount McKinley, the helicopter pilot told this other military guy, don't worry, it's going to get rough, but I know how to handle this. I've been briefed. And he said all he could think of was that they were entering some sort of tremendous magnetic storm or magnetic interference with the helicopter, but that the pilot got it down and that there were all kinds of armed men around the site. The helicopter, they were told the helicopter was simply to hover down to the ground, not to shut off. There was a truck. It was there. Big men came, took out very heavy loads from this helicopter, put them into this truck that went he did not know where. So when Jared Beeler and I talked, he said, if this big underground pyramid is there near Mount Denali, and if what Sergeant Bareilles told us is that they found a sphinx up on Kastner, 4 days up the Kastner Glacier, and you look at it, I have at Earth Files, I have a map that will show you how there is almost like a ridge connection, goes for 120 miles from Mount McKinley around the top of ridges to Kastner Glacier.
It's completely attached. It looks like you could. Yeah. It looks like you could ride a snowmobile from one point to the other. Well,
yeah,
maybe.
You may not be able to, but geographically, you're absolutely right. It has that look of an arced link.
It's a straight. It's a straight curve. There's no question about it.
And did they bury it? What did they do? That's the big question, if it's still there. And now let's go back to our landscape of millions of years of competing other intelligences on this planet. Whatever it is that was responsible for Mesopotamia, the Anunnaki are real. They left all kinds of carvings of strange things. And then if you jump to Egypt and the relationship of that to perhaps an alien inspiration for everything that was built, then it's possible that the historic ancient layers in this planet relate to the alien presence, just like Göbekli Tepe was not really known until 1994, and then at that point it took from 94 to 2010 for anybody in the public really to know that the German archaeologist had been carefully revealing layer by layer and doing carbon dating very, very carefully during that decade or so, and that they then went to deep radar-penetrating radar and found that there were maybe 300 of these 19-foot tall, weighing tons, pillars in rings in this hilltop that still, Jimmy, when you realize they're all there, they're under the ground, they're under the soil at the top of the hill, only 5% have been excavated, and that the geometry of all these rings, of these large stones, that something very, very skilled was able to lay this out for some purpose that nobody can guess.
Right. Yeah.
And that was 12,000 years ago, and Schock and West think the Sphinx is at least 14,000 years old, and this is constantly pushing back structures that seem impossible for the human mind to even have conceived.
Yeah, it's getting more and more interesting. You know, for me, and I know it's the same for you, but I cannot wait for next week and next month and next year. I mean, we're going to continue to discover things that weren't supposed to be there. And you know what? We just get to stick it to the man one more time. And I mean,
well, and right now, those scientists that have found those warm under thermal examination, those warm spots in the Great Pyramid of Giza, and there's now big arguments going on about whether somebody should be allowed to drill. And the scientists are arguing. They just were in a conference very recently about what should they do and how can they do it. And I think that we're going to continue to find something extraordinary there.
Yeah, and I said this the other night, and you brought up a great point. Why? Who cares? It's a rock. Drill through the back wall in King Tut's tomb, drill a hole, put a camera through it, and put this thing to bed. And that's it. You're not hurting anything. Nobody's going to have the curse of the mummy put on them. You know what I mean? Just go and drill the hole. And if there's nothing there, fill it in, paint back over it, throw some spackle on it, and let the tourists back in. But until then, you cannot just say, we've got detection of metallic and organic matter, and there's 2 rooms there. There's 2 spaces on the other side. But you know what? Let's just not do anything. That's a load of crap, Linda.
There's another issue, too, about latitude and longitude relationship to the geometry of Earth, in which whatever is the reason for the size and the exact placement of Cheops, the Sphinx, various things that have happened in Egypt, Mesopotamia, around the world, if you are an advanced intelligence with agendas that are beyond our ability to understand or grasp, and you can neutralize gravity and you can make these astonishing things, it's got to be for a reason. And that the whole idea that is beginning to emerge is, if we knew the truth, that this was once a global operation on this planet. And we know that there are thousands of pyramids and thousands of stone circles all over this world. But the relationship between them, it was never looked at as a unifying machine. And now people are beginning to talk about, what if all of these stone structures, once upon a time, were all interconnected, providing energy, providing who knows what interactions with the magnetic fields. Therefore, if something is in Alaska now, was it completely open and bare when the ice was not there? And that it could be that the age of this could predate when the last ice came into Denali and that area. And that would mean that there have been all kinds of stages on this planet where there could have been structures both above and below ground, like the Dark Pyramid is supposed to be 750 feet from base to vertex, with the top vertex 150 feet below the surface of the soil. That means that the base of the pyramid would be 900 feet underground. This is a huge thing underground. Well, and Abel, according to the men that talked to me from their parents, the father's knowledge, that something that could generate power that could operate the nation of Canada, what does all of this mean? And if you had whole networks of these underground and above ground at some point in the history of this planet, then we are talking about sort of stages of intelligent life above ground and below ground on Earth that were never human.
What you mentioned earlier, this $270 million year, yeah, $1 million would be better. A 270 million year timestamp. What is that based on? And is it? Would you venture to guess now that both the Sphinx and this Black Pyramid were built at the same time? And as you answer that, did Bareilles talk about an orientation on the Sphinx? Was it east west, north south?
I asked exactly that question to Jared Beeler, and he said no. That he's told me everything that Bareilles told him. And that the thing that Sergeant Bareilles was most impressed with was the size of the Sphinx and the fact that there was all of this military protection operation, and that Borellis, couldn't recognize who they were. The $270 million in that extraordinary discussion that I had with the retired Defense Intelligence Agency agent in 1999 December, when he said, we have proof. I said, what proof could our government have about anything 270 million years ago? And he said, we do have proof, but I cannot tell you. It is dangerous to know. I have no idea why he said that. But I know that Tom DeLonge, who has talked with George and has talked with me and some others, he gets snippets of information. But one of the, we'll call it the resonating similarities between the work that I was doing in Glimpses of Other Realities, Volume 1 and 2 in the 80s to the 90s, is about what Tom DeLonge has been saying about this being, the way he describes it is that he's dealing with people now, military and intel, who are referring to an alien presence on this planet for millennia that they're referring to as the others, and says that the entire UFO phenomenon, as we know it in the 20th and 21st century, is about multiple gods. This is a quote, about multiple gods that fight among themselves and by design factionalize mankind into different religions to step back and let us fight at each other. Well, that is a concept that came through in the human abduction syndrome in the cases that I was investigating in the late 80s into the early 90s and make up a large section of Glimpses of Other Realities, Volume 2, in which, if the abductees are right, if the people that DeLonge is now working with, if the DIA man that I talked to in 1999, other people that I have had the ability to talk to both about animal mutilations and human abductions and an alien presence on this planet, if they are all right, then it all boils down to that humans, us, Homo sapiens sapien, this current model, we, in this form, we've only been here for about 35,000 to 40,000 years. We overlapped with Neanderthalensis, which disappeared. So our perspective on this planet and what has been here before is very, very limited. And that what seems to me to be emerging as we're moving into the 21st century is we are discovering that we are the latest, we'll call it latest surface life on the surface of Earth that has been building and terraforming, but something else was here maybe in several cycles before we ever, or the primates ever stood up. And that's the part that I think a lot of people just can't go there. And yet I've been exposed to this concept so much, and it is coming up more and more, that the idea that the Sphinx and the pyramid would be something that an alien intelligence would construct, it makes some sense to me. And you jump to Mars and Cydonia and the face and the big pyramid there, in spite of NASA's efforts to dismiss it as a trick of light and shadow. I have seen really high-res photos that show the same stripes in the headdress on the Cydonia structure that you see in the clear pictures of the Sphinx. The Sphinx has the striped headgear.
Yeah, so, like that all the pharaohs wore, like on King Tut's tomb.
And the Mars, when you look at the high-res photo, it's a high-res photo of an object on Mars. And it has the same characteristics as what we are discussing about the Sphinx and that period where the headdress on the Sphinx has those horizontal bands going out. And you see that on that structure on Mars. And so it is raising an even bigger territorial geopolitical question. What is the relationship of Mars to the Earth to other intelligences in the long past? And if there is a connection, then it would explain perhaps why there would be the similar kind of headdress between Mars and Earth, and something that would be used for reasons that we don't understand, the shape of the Sphinx and the large pyramid.
And what is also interesting here is the orientation. If we pull back 270 million years, what was the orientation of the Earth back then, with all of the changes that we've had, and the continents, and what was the orientation where McKinley, Denali, and the Black Rapids, and where Kastner Glacier is? What was the orientation? What was the elevation? Where was it on planet Earth back then? It certainly isn't where it is now.
Well, actually, I think 270 million years ago, things would be not tremendously different in terms of the North American plate being where it is, but there was the Laurentian Revolution that pushed up the Rocky Mountains, and we've definitely had earth changes in the plate, what we call the plate. There are these half a dozen plates, and they moved around. But the last 270 million, I think that the relationship of the continents has been pretty much the way it is today.
Is that right? I thought we had some shift. But you know what? I need to go and study a little bit more on that. But I'm just saying, no matter what, it wasn't orientated to where it is now.
Well, it comes back to this idea of an intelligence looking at spherical geometry, looking at the entire world is things are placed on a large sphere. This is an 8,000-mile diameter sphere, 25,000 miles around the circumference. And if you are of an intelligence that relates to spherical geometry in everything it's doing and relating to magnetic fields, that's completely different than the average human would even think. But if you are dealing with spherical geometry, where you would place things for an entire planetary machinery to generate energy or whatever was the agenda, you would not be doing it on just one country. You would be doing it around the entire planet. And that is the part that I think that, for the most part, most people have not been thinking in spherical geometry terms, but it comes up in
let me jump in.
And all sorts of things.
Let me jump in right there. We're at a break. Linda Moulton Howe. When we come back, we've got to get the updates on mutilations. We're going to do that with Linda Moulton Howe in just 1 minute. Stay right there.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Do you know what's in your body soap? Well, I didn't know the answer until about 5 years ago when I looked at the label of my soap and was shocked to see all the chemicals. For my entire life, I had been assaulting the largest organ of my body, my skin, and to think my children were using it too. Well, a lot has changed since then. Today, my family and I operate Stone City Farms, where we make and sell all natural goat milk soap using fresh goat milk from goats we raise on our farm. Our mission at Stone City Farm is to produce high-quality, all-natural goat milk soap for people who want a fresh, unrefined, natural product. At Stone City Farms, we offer scented and unscented soaps and a signature line of gift sets customizable to your needs. To see what our customers are saying, go to StoneCityFarm.com. Use the code NATURAL for a 20% discount. That's StoneCityFarm.com, code NATURAL for 20% off your order. You never know what could be hiding in your soap.
Did you ever turn to your radio for your favorite talk show to find that it's been preempted for this?
In the air to deep right center. Back goes Lewis to the wall, and it's out of here!
Or this?
And I'm ashamed of you and Hillary for voting for it.
Do you have a favorite talk radio program that's not available in your city? Just go to TalkStreamLive.com for links to the best streaming talk radio shows. At TalkStream Live, you will find live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All your favorites are here. With such a large selection, you will also discover some new favorites. On the go and still want to listen? With the mobile smartphone, simply type TalkStream Live on your internet browser. Now you can take internet radio with you. You will also find hundreds of music, news, and sports streams. Best of all, the TalkStream Live directory is free and there's never a login required. Remember TalkStreamLive.com, the fastest route between you and your favorite talk radio show.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Hashtag F2B is the sandbox. It's out of control. Spreaker's out of control. KGRA's out of control. It's all out of control. Reminds me, what's that movie with, is it De Niro when he's out in front of the courthouse, Linda, and he's, you're out of control. I'm out of control. This show.
Yeah, some days and nights seem like that. And I'm so glad that you brought up a very important issue before the break about where were the continents 270 million years ago, because I was thinking that they were more separated, but I went to geomaps.wr.usgs.gov, and it is a very, very good it gives you an overview from the Earth today going back, and I'm at 270 million years ago, and as you watch what happens, the area that would be Spain, Western Europe, keeps getting closer and closer to what we would call Greenland. And when you get to 270 million years, there's still some separation, but Western Europe is very close to Greenland. And you look at that map and you say, gosh, if you had a computer that could track where, say, McKinley is throughout all these changes, it may not have existed at some point and then been pushed up. But nevertheless, it would be much, much pushed further toward the center of the Earth mass, not as far as we look at the world today. And so your point is a really good one. 270 million years ago, the relationship of structures on this Earth would have been different, quite different, and that what might be in Alaska, what if it were 200 million years old or 100 million years old? See, these are numbers that nobody has ever really thought about much before now, and now it's beginning to emerge all over the place. And so if you go to this geomaps.wr.usgs and you look at the progression of what has happened to continents on this planet going all the way to 620 million years ago, it was radically different to today, but 270, there was quite a difference.
Yeah, and I was starting to think that maybe I was losing my mind. I was like, man, I think I'm off a little bit here. I'm going to listen to Linda. She's smarter than me. So I'm just glad you went.
Sometimes, you lose track of the time. We all know that there was a time when all of the continents were all together, and that this was Gondwana land, is what Carl Sagan used to refer to it as. But it seemed like that was further back. It seemed like it was more getting closer to 1 billion years ago, but not really. It's within the last 800 million years.
Yeah, and when you wrap your mind around this and you start to get that concept, probably at one point everything was underwater for a while, and then everything, right? And then at one point, you know what? It might have been all land at one point, and all the moisture went up into the atmosphere and then came back down. You know, we don't know, but we have to kind of look at things like that. There's a reason why things shift, and continental drift, and the way that occurs, we have to understand why. Up until 1950, that was just the craziest tinfoil hat theory ever. You know, and that wasn't even accepted into the textbooks until, I believe, the early 60s. Isn't that pretty nuts when you think about it? It
is a great metaphor for exactly the frustrations that some of us who are convinced that we're not alone in this universe.
Right.
We're convinced that an alien presence has been on this planet for a very long time, and government people are beginning to talk. And just recently, Tom DeLonge, who has that Secret Machine book out and says that he's going to continue to unfold in a nonfiction way eventually what he's learning. He says that in March he learned directly what we've all had suspicions, and I have been getting forensic evidence since 1979, that cattle mutilations, and it isn't just cattle, it's every animal that you can think of, domestic, and it extends to wild animals, deer and elk and marmot, and there have been like a royal python and a monitor lizard and kangaroo. There's all kinds of animals that have been affected by the animal mutilation, but the important words now are coming that the mutilations are involved with this phenomenon. I do know that, yes, that they absolutely are. Well, I've been reporting that since 1979-80. And recently, that what I've just been hearing, in fact, I did a long interview today, and I will be unfolding in-depth reports at Earth Files and some other broadcasts later on, is about what has been happening in England. And I have reports at earthfiles.com from January to this day about an increasing number of largely bloodless half-cats, beheaded cats, depawed cats. That there's been all kinds of variations. And that the last story I had done was in early April, and the number of cats that were being reported at that time was, they had said, about 50. Today, this is May 11th, I talked with the director of an organization that is called Snarl. They are a group of people who are living in southern England who are so concerned about what is happening to the animals that they've come together as sort of a citizens group, and Snarl stands for South Norwood Animal Rescue and Liberty, and the woman I talked to is Boudica Rising. She is the director now of this organization. And we started out by discussing that the number of the bloodless, beheaded, or half-cat, or be-tailed, or all of this, it's now over 100. And they have been working with veterinarians, the police, even the Scotland Yard has now come into the investigation. And the Guardian had this headline, this is one of the most respected newspapers in Europe, on April 23rd, London cat killer mystery deepens as charities investigate 100 animal deaths. It's more now. And there's a $7,000 reward, approximately, pounds, dollars, it's more in dollars, that's been put up by PETA, and they've been adding money to it now almost every month, and they've had no one coming forward with any information whatsoever. And when you read and look at what is being reported, it is ranging from foxes, rabbits, birds, cats, a monitor lizard, a royal python snake, and the photos are all bloodless. And when I talked with Boudica Rising today, she said that she has been working with the veterinarians and the police, that there's confirmation, no blood on the animals, at the excisions, or on the ground. And so everybody is concluding that whatever is happening to all these animals, they have to be being taken away, whatever the excisions are and how they're being done, are done, and then the animals are returned to the sites, because not only is there no blood, there's no signs of struggle anywhere where they're finding these animals.
Let me jump in for a second, and I know everybody's wondering the same thing that I am. Are these pets? Are they feral cats? Are there collars on the cats? Can they be identified?
All pets. Well, and I'm talking about the cats.
Yes.
The cats are people's pets that are house cats that are only let out.
Right.
And so people and emotion are attached to these tremendously when it comes to the rabbits and to the birds and the foxes, of course. Those are wild animals. And as one person said to me, who is in England and who's also been investigating mutilations, how do you easily catch a bird, a rabbit, or a fox, and somehow whisk it away, excise parts completely precisely? Every excision is absolutely precise, which of course is what I've been studying in large animal mutilation since 1979. It's exactly the same. And then
they're the hardest. They're the hardest.
Animals.
They're the hardest animals to catch. Nobody can catch a rabbit.
That's right.
Nobody can catch a fox.
Here's another very important part of this. The veterinarians have confirmed, quote, blunt force trauma to the animals' whole bodies. And I said, what force or technology, or how do you do that? And Boudica said, well, some people wonder, are the animals being, quote, thrown against a wall, close quote. I personally think that it's the alien category, but they reject that in England. They will not even consider it. The geography, it started in an area of Croydon, which is south of London, and it is now has expanded, she said, hundreds of miles in southeastern England. They're getting more and more reports. They're coming from further distances, but Croydon is where the center of this started for whatever are the reasons. Now, when I was working with, he was a hematologist and pathologist, John Altshuler in Denver, and he was helping me with investigations largely of animal and horse and half-cat mutilations. We communicated with a animal protection service that was in Vancouver, and they had been, I think it was like 33 bloodless half-cats in a 3 or 4 week period, and they were finding either only the front half of the cat or the back half of the cat, never two halves together, and no blood, no struggle at the scene. And so Dr. Altshuler and I got in touch with the people who were investigating those half-cats, and we got one of them sent to Denver so that Dr. Altshuler could examine the tissue where the excision through the body of the cat. So we got the whole cat. It was sent to us in a medically preserved way and in 24 hours through FedEx, and he had fresh tissue to examine. So when he got the slides prepared, he had me come to the lab, and he said, look, we're looking here on this cat at exactly what we have been looking at in animals that were cattle, horses, goats, sheep, where the hemoglobin was cooked, the collagen was cooked, and there was evidence of high heat. Now, Bodica says that they have looked for high heat because that we've had these reports, forensic evidence in the United States, and the phenomena in the United States of half cats, rabbits, and so forth go back to a New York Times article that was written in, I believe it was in the 1980s, about more than 100, they refer to them largely as bloodless half cats. The New York Times did an article about more than 100 being found in Tustin, California, and Toronto, Canada. And so the New York Times did cover the half-cat phenomena back in that the early, I can't remember, I think it's the middle of the 80s, and that this phenomena had made the New York Times then. The phenomena never stopped, Jimmy. The phenomena has been being reported, these bloodless half-cats and rabbits and foxes and all of it. They have continued to be reported in cycles every year since I investigated the cattle mutilations. So what is it? What would be the reason that there would be cycles of bloodless, trackless focuses on these smaller animals in such a bizarre way as beheading a cat, cutting a cat in half, cutting off paws, when a cat is like one of those animals on Earth that humans live with and love?
Well, and the other thing is whether it is, some sick human doing this, a group of, whatever, alien, that's a strong possibility. Whoever is doing it, why would you put the cats or bring the cats back? Why would you drop it?
Exactly the question that sheriffs started asking in the 60s. Why would horses, cattle, goats, sheep, pigs, ducks, chickens, why would they be returned in the cattle, the classic cattle and classic horse is ear missing, eye missing, the tongue removed deep within the throat, the jaw flesh removed, the genitals removed, and the rectum cord out, and often the tail cut right at the base of the spine. Thousands and thousands of these cases going back to the 60s, and it was right from the beginning that the sheriffs were saying, whatever is doing this, why are they returning the animals back to the pastures or near where they were removed? And what is the answer on the other side of that question? As one sheriff said to me, it's like something is flaunting to us that it can do something we don't understand.
Yeah, it goes way beyond a bunch of kids out, having a sick time. That is not what we're talking about here. And
how would they do it?
Well, that's my point. That's my point.
How would anybody be able to make these excisions that show no bleeding?
Right.
How is that possible unless you have a technology that can somehow cut through tissue and not leave blood?
And not get caught, Linda. That's the other key thing here.
Well, and it's been going on all over the world.
Yes, somebody would be caught, and it hasn't happened, and it's somebody and something is doing it, and not only the weird part about this for me, and I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but it messes with my head. The visualizations, the pictures, the imaging, the thought of what's going on messes with our emotions. And that's the trippy thing here. It's very sick, it's demented, it's wrong, and it goes way beyond our scope of morals and what we look at. And that's what messes with us so much. It is just like a really bad, it's like a bad snuff film or something. You know what I mean? It's just so beyond what is right. It's just disturbing to us, and it messes with us. It makes me freak out when I just think about it.
Well, and I must have gone by myself to 30 mutilation sites in a 3 or 4 year period, FedExing back. Well, I'd be carrying plastic Tupperware. I'd have formalin from a vet office. I would have a scalpel. I would be excising carefully so that I could tag, here's Linda's cut, here's the mutilator's cut, and get this tissue and have to label everything and make sure that Dr. Altshuler would know. I would take photographs that would go so that he'd know where each cut was. It was a lot of work, and I'd be doing this by myself out in pastures, sometimes quite rural and isolated, and I would think, man, whoever is doing this, whatever is doing this, if they wanted to take me out, it would be the easiest thing in the world.
Right.
And I'm still here, and I have literally walked around this planet, going to various places. I've been at mutilation sites in England. I have been in Australia when they had a spate of mutilations, and a reporter at ABC in Sydney was calling me, reporting, Linda, my God, we just got a report of an animal with an ear, eye, tongue, jaw, genitals, and rectum cord out. It's exactly like your documentary.
Oh,
and in Canada, I've had people who have flown me to Canada and various parts of the United States to investigate, and then there are all of the cases. A lot of people don't understand that since 2000 and approximately 2 to 3, there have been it's a conservative number now, about 3,500 mutilation reports to the Department of Agriculture in Argentina. And that veterinarians started doing reports that were made public in the beginning. That's how I got them. And I was communicating with a reporter who had been born and raised in Wisconsin, spoke perfect American English. He was working for a newspaper in Buenos Aires for the Experience, and he spoke also fluent Spanish and Portuguese. And he said, I got a hold of him because I had a recommendation that I needed somebody who could speak English that could be understood for an American audience, and that's how I got in touch with him. So we worked together on a couple of cases where he went out to where there were mutilations, and I wanted him to be able to talk directly with a veterinarian, and he did. And he said the veterinarian told him that they were in fact confirming high heat of the cooked hemoglobin, cooked collagen at the excision sites, and they were not sure of the instrument. And this jumps back to John Altshuler. One day he called me up and he said, Linda, I want you to come over to the lab. I want to show you something. And he had a stereo microscope so you could have one slide on the right side, one slide on the left, so you could compare tissues. And in the right, he had, it was known laser surgery from a gynecologist. On the left was tissue from one of the animal tissues that I had sent in from a location. And he said, look at these two slides. Tell me if there's anything that you see that's different. And what jumped out immediately was that in the right, which was the known gynecology laser surgery, there were black dots. They're known as carbon. It's a carbon residue that you can see under a microscope that is associated with laser because of the heat, and we're a carbon-based life form. That's why it's there. When you looked at the slide on the left that was one of the mutilated animal slides, no black carbon grain. He said, I really don't know what kind of instrument would do this. He said, it's obviously cooked the tissue, but it has not left carbon. He said, I don't know what we're dealing with. And recently, it was about 2 or 3 years ago, somebody who had been serving in a military capacity called me up and said that they had been introduced to a sound, like a sound scalpel, audio frequency scalpel in their work in the military and had gone out into civilian practice, and he was calling me to say, when we use these high frequency or whatever frequency that they're using, the tissue might match that question that you and Dr. Altshuler had about why there wasn't carbon residue. He was going to do some photographic tests and send them to me and make a comparison so we could see. But then I don't know what happened. There are a lot of people who get interested, and then their life and work takes over. So I never did see photographs from what I understand now is an acoustical scalpel that is now being used. But the acoustical scalpel, in terms of the civilian world, is new. And we're talking about a phenomenon that has been reported and goes back to the early 60s. We did not have any lasers in operation in the 1960s, at least not in the white world.
I want to thank you, Linda. Thank you so much. And everything that Linda is reporting on and everything that we spoke about tonight is over at earthfiles.com. It is truly where I go for all of my secret stuff. But the cat's out of the bag, Linda. Everybody knows. Linda, what are, really quick, we've got about 30 seconds here. You're going to be out of contact in the desert. What are your presentations going to be about?
Okay, I'm going to be talking about binary code revelations in what appears to be an abduction case. I'm going to be talking about government whistleblower information about different types of aliens. I'm going to be talking about updates on RAF Bentwaters. I'm going to be doing a presentation that is looking at high strangeness in animal mutilations and human abductions. And I'm on 3 or 4 panels. And I think I'm on something with you, and I'm really looking forward to it because I think it's going to be an exciting, high-energy time at Contact in the Desert because I'm telling you, this year of 2016, it seems to be revolutionary. It seems to be changing, as we said at the top. Every day now, you get up and say, what happened now?
Thank you so much, Linda. Be safe. I got to get you on, and we've got to talk some binary, maybe right before Contact in the Desert. Thank you so much, Linda.
God bless you.
Right back at you, earthfiles.com. Linda Moulton Howe, the one and only. This is Fade to Black. I'll be right back.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
KGRA Radio. Intelligent talk.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
If your home has hard water and it's leaving white spots, then it's likely that limescale is clogging your pipes. Limescale can cost hundreds of dollars a year in wasted energy and early appliance breakdown. HydroCare systems available at Wave Home Solutions prevent and remove limescale with just a simple filter change every 3 years. There are no salts, chemicals, or magnetic coils. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, just go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
Hi, I'm Richard Dolan. When I'm not hosting my radio program, The Richard Dolan Show on KGRA, or writing new books on UFOs, I run a publishing company. I'm proud to say that Richard Dolan Press has published some of the most fascinating books available on UFOs and related subjects. They include Dr. Bruce Maccabee's classic analysis of the UFO cover-up, David Marler's breakthrough book on triangular UFOs, Dr. Richard Sauter's unique work on underground bases, and other classics by Grant Cameron, Chase Kletsky, and Dr. Bob Wood, not to mention intriguing works by Eve Lorgan and Laurie MacDonald that deal with truly bizarre phenomena. I'm proud to publish such high-quality and original works, and there are several amazing books about to be released over the next few months. Go to richarddolanpress.com to learn more.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Thank you, Linda Moulton Howe. Always amazing. Follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. This is truly bespoke radio for the masses on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, the planet. Yes, it has now arrived. It is that time of the year. Contact in the Desert has truly become the event, if not in the nation, in the entire world. And when I say thousands of attendees, like-minded, wonderful people, all at one place at one time, focused, looking for knowledge and answers, that is what Contact in the Desert has turned into. It is the place to be out in Joshua Tree, California. We are excited. It's kicking off. It is just 3 short weeks away, and I would like to welcome to the program, back with us, Paul Andrews and Victoria Gavayan. Hey, guys, somebody needs to turn me down in the background.
Hey, Jimmy.
Hey, Paul.
Hi, Jimmy.
Hi, Victoria. How are you?
We're good.
Okay, I've got a strange echo going on.
We hear it.
Oh, you guys hear it too?
I don't hear it on my end. Maybe Paul.
Okay, yeah, then it's Paul.
Oh, yeah, let's put it on Paul. He always leaves everything on me anyway, so
yeah.
put it on that.
Hey, you know what, Jimmy? Let me call back in. I'll call back in.
Okay, let's just reset. You got it. And
he's got it. Okay.
Let's see if it's still there. Oh, it's still there. It might be you, Victoria.
Oh, really? Okay, I will recall in.
Well, no.
Or you called me.
Yeah. It's okay. Let's bring Paul back in, and we'll just get through this. Don't worry about it. I'm a professional. I don't know what the audience is hearing, but yeah, it's weird. We got an echo.
Back at you, Jimmy.
Okay, you're good. No, we've got an echo, and it turns out it
okay,
is
let me try it again. I'll just do it really quick.
Okay. All right, so we'll reset. Yeah, see, now it's gone. It was Victoria, Paul.
It was Victoria. I told you. Whenever there's a problem with the show or anything that's not going totally smoothly, it's always Victoria.
You know, and the thing is, you can't blame her for everything because she's so cute and smart at the same time, right? And
cute and smart and one of the most intuitive people in the business, Jimmy.
All right, now let's check it. Oh, we're good. We're solid. All right, let's move on.
Excellent.
Hey, guys, welcome. And Victoria, this is your first time with us. And, you know, Paul's been with us a few times, but there you go. And welcome to the program. Now, this is the thing. I want to start off here, and I'll kind of guide this. I'm going to throw this to Victoria first. Ladies first, Paul, if you don't mind.
No problem.
Did you guys have any idea that, you know, here we are, you know, going into the 4th year, that it would have turned into the success that it has? Because it is a monster and it's out of control. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's a really good question. You're going to hit me up with first. It's really. I'm going to just be honest with you. We're so busy. I'm like the pleaser. I love to spoil people. I want the names coming. I want a great lineup. I want people to come and have an amazing time. So my focus is just on one thing. What can I do for you? And I am constantly thinking about this, that. I call Paul up. Paul, what do you think about this, that? We go over things together. Okay, this is in, this is out. And we're always trying to tweak it to make it better. So when you ask, are we shocked at how many people? It doesn't make any difference because every time I make plans or we make plans for anything, what ends up happening is we have more people. So I've given up trying to calculate, okay, we're going to have X amount of people coming and this and that. No, we're way in the thousands. We'll probably have 3,000 I don't know how many this year. But we, just in the first week, we sold over 1,000 tickets. That just goes to show you how, individuals are enjoying the show. And another thing is that 40% of the people are coming. They have been to one show. Another 20% have been to 2 shows, and it just keeps going up higher. Our return rate is huge. But it's not just the show. It's the facility as well. You see, this is a power spot. I know you've had David Wilcock on your show before, right? Haven't you?
Yeah, many times.
Yeah. So he told me once that this was the place where he had the most intense psychic experiences in his life. And I've heard that over and over and over because we are on a ley line, first of all, and we are on an aquifer. And many sacred spaces in the world are on aquifers. And when you're on that, there is an electromagnetic field that is tripled in its intensity. So when you go to sleep at night, you experience out-of-body, lucid dreaming, all sorts of amazing experiences. But, I don't want to take up all the time, but I just got to tell you this one thing. When I first came here 10 years ago to this property, I used to see balls of light going across in the desert. Now, I just got here. I'm looking at the balls of light. I call my workers, hey, there's somebody driving around on the property because, we have 400 acres here. So I said, look, we gotta go check it out. He'd go one end, I'd go one end, another guy would go on another end so we could block this car. Nothing. I cannot tell you how many chasings we've done over these lights through the years that we were never able to find anything. They would just disappear and it was gone. So this is a power spot. We've got Integratron. We have all these other things going on here. Giant rock tours. I mean, where else are you going to get all of that?
No, it's a magical place to walk around. It is yeah. The center itself. You walk around and it's a beautiful location. Paul, what have you done to make changes? Because you guys are always improving and calling me, going, Jimmy, we're doing this, we're doing that. So what can we expect this year? What have you guys done? What are the big things?
Well, I'm going to talk about that. But, Jimmy, can I follow up just for a minute on what Victoria said? Because I want to emphasize that there's a long history of sightings there at Joshua Tree where we are. And the fellow who founded the place spent 7 years in Tibet back in the early 1900s, like 1900, 1901. And when he brought those Tibetan spiritual teachings back with him, he had become very sensitized as a result of being in this lamasery for 7 years. So he came back to LA. He founded a church in Los Angeles, and when he went to look for a retreat center, he let his intuition guide him, and he finally came to the Joshua Tree Retreat Center where Victoria and I are. And he made a determination based on his intuition and his feelings and his psychic experiences that this was a facility, that this was a spot where the veil between the physical and the non-physical was the thinnest. And so this is where he determined that he wanted to put his retreat center. And so he and Frank Lloyd Wright envisioned this together. And he kind of drew out the master plan, and then Frank Lloyd Wright and Frank Lloyd Wright's son built all the buildings. I mean, we've got, like 30 or 40 buildings there.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
beautiful.
And
It's the largest collection of Lloyd Wright buildings in the world.
I am blown away by that. I'm a big Frank Lloyd Wright fan. I did not know that, but I knew, looking at the architecture and walking around and looking at this stuff, that it was the real deal. And you just managed to blow my mind.
Sure. One of the buildings, the dining hall, literally the roof goes into the ground, right?
Yes.
Buried in the ground, and comes up. You could literally walk up it to the top of the roof and it's all concrete.
Now I'm going to walk around and totally trip,
Well, we'll take a picture of you, and then we'll put it on your site so that people can see it.
I will absolutely do that. We had, I'm going to take 2 seconds to tell this. We had 2 years ago, the conference before the last one, 2 years ago, Rita and I were staying out in 29 Palms. We got a cabin out there. And we're having a little party, a little Fade or Not party, and Steve Murillo's there, and Alex Mistretta is there, and Rita and the rest of the Fade or Not crew. They're all out there. And we're standing out on the patio, and I'm not making this up. Somebody says, and there's like 10 of us out on the patio at this time, and somebody says, man, it'd be really cool if we could see something, right? And at that moment, as I live and breathe, somebody says, what is that? And as I look where this person is looking, shot up straight out of the desert at the base of the mountains, shot straight up. It was a round ball of light, shot straight up from the desert floor. There's nothing out where we are. There's nothing there. There's nothing. And it shoots straight up it had to have been going thousands of miles an hour. I don't even know how to explain it. Shot
Jimmy,
straight.
It's commonplace. It is commonplace out there.
It's a very magical place. In fact, Jimmy, if you talk to a lot of the locals, they have spots out on this loop called the 17-mile drive up in the national park, which is just a quarter of a mile down the road.
Right.
And they'll go out there and they'll sit in the back of the pickup trucks and drink beer all night long and just wait for the sightings. And I bumped into so many of the local people there who have had these sightings over the years. And I don't think it's any accident that there's a major military base just down the road from it. So it's kind of like we got the light and the dark together.
Yeah, right.
But Victoria's absolutely right. It's a magical spot, and magical things happen there. They just do, Jimmy. And I'm just going to give you one other example because I think your listeners will be interested in this. There was an older gentleman that Victoria and I know who was on the board of trustees there at the retreat center. And he was staying there one night by himself over in what we call the apartments. And he went to sleep. And when he woke up, this huge ball of light had come into his room and was communing with him. Now, this gentleman was in his 70s at the time, communing with him, very conservative guy, and it just blew him away. And then it left, and left the room in complete darkness, just as it had been. And this just rocked him to his core. And he was never, I believe, never quite the same again, and his interest in aliens and UFO, increased dramatically as a result of that experience. And, as Victoria's pointed out, these are the kinds of magical things that happen out at that particular retreat center. And that's why we chose it, because it is a power spot. And as Victoria said, that's where they built Tesla's Integratron, and that's where Giant Rock is. And it's just an amazing place.
And that's why we have the night vision goggles as well, Jimmy. This year we got over 20 pairs coming in, and I'm telling you, it is amazing what you can see in the night sky there. And I'm telling you, what happened was we were sitting there on a bench. I forget who was with me. There's 3 other people. And I'm looking up at the sky, and I'm looking through the night vision goggles, and I see this light. And it's way up there. Okay, because I'm watching it, and all of a sudden 3 little lights come out of that one light. And I'm watching this. And they're doing zigzags and dancing around it and doing all of this stuff. And my brain is seeing it. I mean, I can see it with my eyes, but my brain is saying, wait a minute, this can't be possible.
Right.
And when you go out there, this is the kind of thing that people experience. You see it with your eyes, but there's this thing inside of you that says, wait, this is not natural. But that's the kind of experiences that you have out there.
Yeah, Melinda Leslie has been hitting me up. Jimmy, you've got to come hang out with me. You've got to come hang out. I'm not going to play around this year. So
she's got all the goggles, Jimmy.
Yeah. So
But no. I mean, Victoria is right. It's a great experience. It's something that people can experience directly, and I think direct personal experience is the most important thing in this particular field. But to get back to your question, Jimmy, if I may.
Yes.
I feel very, very fortunate that we have been able to gather, in my opinion, one of the best lineups that I have ever seen in my lifetime to address this very broad and multidisciplined topic. And some of the people that are at the top of our group are, we got Graham Hancock. We've got David Childress, who's a regular on Ancient Aliens. We have Robert Bivall. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Robert Bivall. We have Giorgio Tsoukalos, who's the host of Ancient Aliens. We have David Jacobs. We have, of course, you know, and your listeners know, Linda Moulton Howe. And George Norrie, somebody you might have heard of. And
Brian Forrester from Peru.
Yeah.
Brian Forrester, David Wilcock, Eric von Daniken, who wrote Chariots of the Gods, Whitley Strieber, who wrote Communion, and one of my favorites, Walter Cruttenden, who wrote a book called Lost Store. And I would like to talk about that a little bit later, Jimmy, because it's a fascinating topic, and he's a very bright man. And then we've got Jim Mars and Stanton Friedman. We have Daniel Sheehan, who I think is an amazing speaker. John Greenwald from Black Vault. Richard Dolan.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Barra.
Mm-hmm.
Laura Eisenhower. Travis Walton. As Victoria said, Brian Forster. And James Gilliland. Now, is James leading an event at night this year?
Yes, Sunday night. He, Tricia McCannon, and there's one more person. Who is it? Let me think. Well, as we're talking, I'll remember. But anyway, there's three of them.
Maybe?
No. It's Mark Hebler. Mark Hebler, Dr. Dream.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
and they're going to be doing an amazing calling in, and that's on Sunday night.
Right, so they're going to be doing field work, and they're going to be calling in the spaceships using lights and meditation and chant and mantras, and I like James Gilliland. I like his approach to it.
Yeah, we'll talk about the special events in a second, but there's a couple of other people that are going to make appearances that don't do this often. One is David Pilates. He's going to be there, and he just doesn't get out often. He's too busy researching. And Clyde Lewis is coming to town. And Clyde doesn't head out of Portland too much, and this is just shows you what kind of event that Jonathan Young, Brad Olson. It's absolutely nuts when you.
Isn't it exciting?
Patty Greer, crop circles.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jimmy, I got to tell you this. It's the most funniest thing you've ever seen. I've never seen anything like this. People will call to buy tickets, right? And they are like kids in a candy store. They are so excited. I mean, I don't blame them, but to actually call and have so many people so excited to get here, it's just amazing. It's really wonderful. It's
you know what's a real treat? Well, hold on. Hey, Paul, don't forget it's my show. Okay, it's my show. One of the coolest things there is the crosswalks in front of the sanctuary. And all you have to do as an attendee is just walk around, and whoever it is that you're a fan of, that you've been reading and researching and checking, just stand there for a minute, because they're going to walk by you. And you are able to go, hey, and they're going to stop, and you're going to hang out. You're going to be able to trade your stories and talk. And then when you're done doing that, whoever it is, it's Jeremy Corbell, right? And you're talking to Jeremy. Turn around and just close your eyes for a second. Think of your next favorite author. take a couple of steps, and then you're going to meet them too.
That's right.
And that's what's really extraordinary about the event. I don't want to make I don't want to make light of this. It's really
shocking.
cool. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and we all eat together in the cafeteria, so we all get to kind of hang out and eat together, and it's like a little family, like a big family.
Now,
it's like a big family.
I'm going to address. Okay, now I'm going to throw you guys under the bus. Food.
Oh, no.
Tell me you fixed the food issue this year. It's always been okay, and the food in the cafeteria is great, but
it's the line. I know. We fixed it.
Okay.
We're doing 4 lines this time. 4 lines.
Okay. And the food's extraordinary, by the way. I mean, I couldn't believe what we were being fed there. That's not cafeteria food. That is some serious gourmet.
We have chefs, gourmet chefs.
Oh, man. Okay, now tell me about the amphitheater. What are the changes out there?
Well, we're going to go with the LED screens this year, giant LED screens, so that we can have more room for people. When we do the lectures, when you get thousands of people, we can't stick them all in sanctuary any longer. We're outgrown that. So what we did is we've shade cloth the entire facility, the whole amphitheater now is under shade now. And then what we did is we have 2 LED screens that can be used during the daylight so that we can actually show the PowerPoint presentations while they're there, and nobody will be all squished up or anything. There'll be plenty of room there. And then we'll do workshops inside the other buildings.
Are these like jumbotrons, Paul?
Yes, they're LEDs, and the brightness factor is so significant that you can sit even in the back row in bright sunlight and see it very clearly.
Right.
And as Victoria mentioned, we put this huge shade cloth over the entire amphitheater, which seats what I would say 3,500. Victoria.
Yes, and even with the booths. They're all going to be under shade as well. I mean, we've really, and lots of golf carts taking people around. It's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm. For older people or people with disability, we have golf carts. We have people to help people around. And everybody thinks, desert hot. But this is the high desert. This is the high desert, Jimmy. And the high desert is, as everybody knows, much cooler than the low desert.
Yeah.
So we'll be maybe 20 degrees cooler than Palm Springs. And that time of the year, Victoria, help me if I'm wrong, but it tends to be in the upper 70s, lower 80s as a high for a day, and then 60s at night. So the weather's practically perfect in early June for this event. I mean, it's very, very temperate and pleasant.
Now,
I want to mention this because you said this, Jimmy. Remember, the interesting fact is that they can go see the people that they've been watching either on television or hearing on the radio, and they're able to walk right up to them and have conversations with them, all lined up, that whole row. Everybody.
Yeah, I remember the first time I was there, and I went up through the right in front of the sanctuary there, and everybody is there. Everybody is there, sitting and talking with all of the attendees. Everybody is accessible, and it's really extraordinary. Now,
Very
really
accessible.
quick, we're going to be heading towards a break, so I'm going to keep you guys on. You're going to have to stay on with me because when we come back after the break, we'll take some phone calls and we'll give away a couple of passes. But as we lead into the break, what are some of the special events?
Tell them about George.
Oh, well, everybody knows George Norrie from Coast to Coast Radio, and it's going to be his birthday on Saturday night, and so we're having a special George Norrie birthday bash dinner, and we encourage everybody to come to that. It's a special ticket, and then following that, we're going to have a large party. We're going to have live music, and we're going to have decorations, and it'll be a chance for everybody to get to know everybody else, and I think people will have a good time.
Wow, that's cool. Victoria, what's the next event? Oh, did we lose Victoria?
Oh, I hope not.
Okay, hold on here. Hold on. Victoria?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Okay, there you are. Okay, Victoria, what I just said, okay, what's the next special event after the George Norrie birthday?
Oh, my gosh.
There's so many.
There's the meet and greet. That is on, which is so much fun. That is on, meet and greet is on Friday night. And if you think just going up to them at the tables is great, when you go into the meet and greet, everybody's taking pictures with them. They're walking around with the people. There's music going on. Robert Perella is going to be playing his music on, his themes from Paul McCartney and a few others. That's one night, and then on the other night, since I wasn't there at that moment, when he told you about the George Norrie birthday party, right after his birthday party, we're actually having a live band and music and dancing and fun. Everything's got to be fun.
Yeah, I totally agree. No. And this is what something else that is cool. Friday night during the meet and greet, which is in the sanctuary, behind the sanctuary is another building that we are broadcasting from. Fade to Black's going to broadcast. So
I was just coming to that, Jimmy. That's the other big event on Friday night. We've got Jimmy Church beginning at 7 o'clock, live radio broadcast in the Lotus Room.
Well,
and I know you're going to have some guests there.
Well, I don't want to make it about me, but what's really cool about that for the attendees is we are right next to the meet and greet. So you can bounce between Fade to Black and go over to the meet and greet, and then the speakers are at the meet and greet, and they conveniently get to walk out and come on Fade to Black like we did it last year, and that's the place to be. Fade to Black and the meet and greet up on the hill. It's like, it's really, if I'm an attendee, it's like, pinch me, man. Is this really going on?
And then we have the Cosmic Cafe for those who have experiences. And every day there's a group that meet together and talk about their extraterrestrial experiences. That's going on every day. And we also have the movies. We have films, Under the Stars, or here and there we have all these different movies going on. And in the amphitheater and over in some of the buildings as well, so they move around. Each night we have different ones. So there's so many different things. I had a person say, "Oh my gosh, it's so much. I'm so confused. What shall I do?" And I just said, "Okay, look at one strip at a time and choose who you want to go to see. Here, you don't have to sit through somebody you're not interested in. Here, you make the choice. You choose out of 4 or 5 people, who do I really want to see? Who do I want to lecture? Who do I want to see the panels?" We have dynamite panels. In fact, you're going to be leading one of them.
Yes.
So,
Indeed. We have 8 panels, and, I'm looking forward to the Jimmy Church panel myself.
Oh, stop. I'm going to hang out for the George Norrie panel after mine. That's why I'm doing the panel, so I have a good seat for the Norrie shindig right after mine. Hey, guys, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, I'm going to open up the phone lines. If you can go to Joshua Tree, okay, I'll take the first 2 callers that call in, and I will let Paul and Victoria give away some passes. All right, 323-825-5045, just for the Fadernauts. And when you call in, you can thank Paul and Victoria. We'll be right back.
Here, and you are listening to my boy Jimmy Church on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter,
but listening to Jimmy Church will.
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got. Nature's Youth and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest, who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at naturesyouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923, and like them on Facebook, and you'll be included in contest and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or naturesyouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
What's up, Fadernauts? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring 2 Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers, packed in its own custom hardshell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The 2 full-range boomboxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129, and use the promo code JCRTWS, and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go Beckley Teppy.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Great night tonight. I want to thank Linda Moulton Howe, always bringing it. And right now we have Paul Anders and Victoria Gavoyan from Contact in the Desert. And we're going to go ahead and give away some passes. So let's go straight to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Jimmy, it's Gigi.
Gigi. What's up, brother?
What's up?
How'd you get through so quickly? All right. You want to go to Contact in the Desert?
Well, actually, I already got my pass, but my sister wants to go. If you can spare her a pass.
So you're calling in for your sister. Okay.
Let him have it, Jimmy. Come on.
Okay. All right. See,
come on.
Gigi.
I'm going to tell Rita on you.
Yeah, you're lucky. You're lucky it's Victoria, Gigi. All right. So your sister is going to Contact.
Gigi, we love you.
All right. Well, I love you guys too. Y'all's event is the best.
Gigi has been to what, the last 2?
No, just that last one.
Okay.
But yeah, that was absolutely amazing.
Okay. All right, Gigi. So we'll look forward to seeing you out there, and we'll take care of everything and get you all hooked up. All right?
Awesome, man. I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Gigi.
And Gigi, tell me, can I ask Gigi a question? Jimmy?
Sure.
Would you mind?
Yeah, go ahead.
Gigi, do me a favor. Email me and let me know who you would like to see next year.
Oh,
that will not be a problem. I will do that right away.
Okay, give me some names. Yeah, I want to hear who you guys want. I want to surprise you. I love surprising our people. Our participants are very important to us.
Oh, man, that is so cool, Victoria.
What's your email address now?
I'll take care of it,
Vito
Gigi.
give it to you.
Yeah, we'll do it off the air. Thank you so much, Gigi.
Thank you,
All right,
Gigi.
cheers.
We'll see you there.
I don't know. Thank you, Gigi. I don't know how he got through all those phone calls, and that was random. All right. Okay. Opening up the phone lines. I cleared everybody out. I'm going to be fair about this. Okay. So I've reset the phone lines. 323-825-5045. I got to be fair. You know, it's random. First call in, I will grab it. Okay. 323-825-5045. I just hung up on a bunch of people that are really pissed off right now.
Oh, no.
But you know, you just got to be fair. You got to be fair. 323-825-5045. Now, this is the one important question, and I don't know who is going to answer this, but the speaker list is insane. Okay, it is.
I love it.
Who makes the choices?
Both of us.
Well, we both do it together. But you know, I have to say, Jimmy, you know, as a hardened veteran and somebody who's been in this field for 30 years, I am excited about going to the show, and Victoria will tell you that when I'm there, I run around and I try to see as many people as I possibly can, because, you know, even in our lifetime, you know, seeing this many superstar researchers, lecturers, experiencers in one place at the same time is exciting for me.
Yeah, and last year, Paul, when all three of us were talking about this and putting ideas together, it was, you know, it was just like, we got to go bigger, man. We got to go bigger.
Right.
Well, how about, no, we got to go bigger. All right, let's take another phone call here. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hey, how you doing, Jimmy? It's Jose.
Hey, Jose, how are you?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. You want to go to Contact in the Desert?
Well, like Gigi earlier, I also have a ticket to go, but my daughter wants to go with me this year. And I was hoping...
You know what? You're talking to the two bosses. You don't have to convince me of that. So you've already.
I would really appreciate it if you guys could help a brother out.
We're going to help the brother out.
Okay.
Paul, what do you think?
There you go. And
help him out.
Have you been to the show yet, Jose?
Jose.
Yes, I went.
Jose, I'm gonna check this out. Jose flew in from Florida last year.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And he's the one, the picture that you have of me on Contact in the Desert, the one where I'm looking up at the sky.
Yeah.
That one, and Victoria, you were standing next to me when that picture was taken. That was taken by Jose.
Oh, well, thank you, Jose. I appreciate that. Yeah. That's great. Well, you're going to have a good time this year.
Okay, so
I'm definitely gonna do more pictures this year, and really try and get everybody in, and I'll let you guys all have a good, decent picture. I hope.
Okay.
Yeah, please. Yeah, send us the pictures after. I want to take a look at it myself.
Love to see him. Thank you, Jose.
Okay, Jose, we'll get you all hooked up. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
And
all right.
We'll see you in 3
we'll
short
see you there.
weeks. Man, this is fun. Can we give away one more?
Paul?
Yeah, but
This
up
is
to you,
fun.
Victoria. Up to you.
No, of course. I don't mind.
All right.
Sure.
Let's get.
Come on, this is Jimmy Church.
When you
This is
pass
Jimmy Church.
quite a few thousand, what's another one?
Well,
right. What's one more?
You know, and I'm watching as I announce, right? See, what I get to do, what the audience doesn't get to see when I announce this, and I clear out the phone lines, and I announce it, and everybody hears it because we're on a 20-second delay, right? And then everybody calls in at the same time. I'm literally picking up the first call, and then there's 9 or 10 that you know. So, all right, let's do this one more time. 3, 2, 3. I feel like the FM DJ, giving away tickets to Bon Jovi. You know. Okay, let's do it one more time. 323-825-5045. 323-825-5045. We'll give away one more pass to Contact in the Desert. And now, see, we'll wait for 20 seconds. I've cleared out the phones. So, but seriously, how do you guys, okay, here it is, first call in. Just like, see, 20 seconds, right? Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling? You're live.
Hey, Jimmy?
Yes.
Oh, Mike, this is Gordon.
Hey, Gordon, you got through, man. First time caller. Okay. How do you feel right now, Gordon?
I'm ecstatic.
I love it. Love you, Gordon. You're going to have such a cool time.
Hey, Gordon.
Oh, my God.
Gordon, where? Okay, so you can make it to Contact in the Desert, right? You can go?
Correct. Yeah, I'm in Santa Monica.
Oh, you're
cool.
You're local.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, Gordon, this is what I want you to do. I've got your phone number right here, okay?
Okay.
Write Rita at jimmychurchradio.com and put your phone number in the email, and then we'll take it from there and we'll get you all hooked up.
Awesome. Much love. Thank you so much, you guys.
Okay.
And listen, same thing with you. I want you to email me and let me know who you would like to see next year, okay? Because I know once you get there, you're going to have an amazing time. And don't forget your beach chair for the amphitheater.
I will not, and I definitely have some people in mind. So thank you so much.
It's going to be great, Gordon. And first-time caller got through that mess, man. So congratulations, brother.
You rock, Gordon.
Thank you.
All right, Gordon. Thank you so much. You know, it's pretty cool, huh, guys?
I love it. I love it.
Very cool.
He
Very
really
cool.
appreciated it. It's so nice when you've given it to someone who really, really wants to go, and that's so interesting. Did you hear that? Like both of those other people that won, they had tickets already. I'm telling you this. It's such a good feeling that you know that you're doing something that people are really enjoying.
Yeah,
that is such a great feeling.
Gigi and his sister are flying in from Texas. And,
Wow.
Jose's flying in from Florida. And, so that's it's for people to make that kind of commitment and to come to the event and to come back to the event is just extraordinary. And then there you go. Gordon, first time caller, calls in, boom, got through. And there you go. I mean, I just
Jimmy,
feel
they're coming from all over the world.
Yes, they do.
It's serious. Paul, you look at the stats all the time.
Yeah.
Tell
We have
them
people from Australia. We have people from Great Britain. We have people from South America. We have people from South Africa. We have people from Japan. Canada. All over the world, Jimmy. All over the world.
It's going to be such a great event, and I cannot. This is the thing, and I know you guys are tripping. I talk to you all the time, but can you believe a year has gone by?
That's amazing.
I mean, here we are,
Goes
man.
fast.
In a couple of weeks, we're going to be at that cafeteria.
I love it. I don't have to cook.
We call it the Cosmic Cafe, Jimmy.
It is, and it is cosmic. And again, thank you guys so much for everything that you do. Oh! I have to ask you before I let you go: are you guys capped by like the fire department? Are you guys capped? Is there a number that you guys can't throw out there?
Well, no, we not. We have Bhakti Fest has 5,000 people. This other festival has 7,000 or 8,000. It because we have 400 acres. The only thing we cap is the rooms now, but then we're doing more we're putting up tents. Like next year, we're going to have more tents and things. Each year, we have a new thing coming in. Like next year, we're going to have what's called Area 51, but I'm not going to tell you what that is. I'm just going to let you wait it out.
Oh, that's cool.
But, Jimmy, let me say this at the risk of speaking over Victoria. We have almost unlimited camping, and if you want to be there on the grounds all the time with us, bring a tent, bring an RV, plenty of camping there.
Yeah, we have rooms and we cap camping, but when you want the rooms, we can only sleep up to about 283 on site, and those rooms are sold out within hours.
They were gone. Yeah, they were gone. Right. I think the first day we put the tickets on sale, but the good news is that if you don't mind camping and you want to be really on site, connected to the earth, to the event, we do have camping available, Jerry.
And we're going to be doing glamping next year as well. So, and then we have all the hotels. I mean, we have a lot of motels, and things like that in the area.
Yeah, they're right there.
Yeah,
they're right
we have
there.
plenty of those.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much, and we
Thank
will.
you for having us.
We're going to see you. Today is the 11th. Can you believe it? It's going to in the blink of an eye. We're going to be rolling in, and there's nothing more special. I'm going to tell you right now, my heart starts to pound when you come out of the mountains and you roll into Joshua Tree and it's laid out in front of you for the first time. It's like Mars. It's like another place. It's not. It's another world.
It's a moonscape.
It's a moonscape. And until you've been there, you have no clue. You think you've been to special places, right? You roll in to Joshua Tree and you look around. Whoever's sitting next to you in the car, you're going to go, dude, this is trippy. This is cool.
And Jimmy, it's no accident that U2 named their album Joshua Tree.
That's right. Don't make no mistake about it. Hey guys, thank you so much. You guys are the absolute best.
Thank you, Jimmy. You're the best.
And I'll talk to you guys, and I'll see you in 2 short weeks. We'll be rolling into town. Thank you so much.
You got it. Talk to you soon, and thank you to all your listeners
again, Jimmy.
out there. Bye-bye.
You guys got it. Bye-bye, guys. Now. Paul and Victoria from Contact in the Desert giving away tickets. Thank you. The event is as special as what you hear. If you have any doubts, just you don't have doubts. But when you talk about something like this, because it's so special, it sounds like it's impossible, but it's really all that. Come over to Twitter. hang out in the sandbox, look at the pictures, talk to everybody else that has been there, because it is all that. It's really extraordinary. Contact in the Desert. It's kicking off here in just a little less than 3 weeks in Joshua Tree, California. All right. Thank you to everybody that called in tonight, too, by the way, and congratulations on your tickets. And now I want to get a couple of things out of the way that are a little bit disturbing, and you probably don't know anything about these stories. And the first one is, it is now believed that Russia is preparing to start test firing a nuclear missile, a brand new one, to replace everything else in their inventory. And it is dubbed the Satan II. Their current one is called Satan, okay? Capable of extreme destruction. It is the RS-28 Sarmat intercontinental ballistic missile. It's capable of wiping out parts of the earth the size of Texas or France. It may be able to speed past every missile defense system due to its extreme speed performance. The missile is expected to have an estimated range of 10,000 kilometers, and it tips the scales at over 100 tons. Field trials will begin sometime in the summer at the Plastic Cosmodrome. Yeah. Pictures, you want to check it out, go over to our Facebook page, jimmychurchradio.com. I'm not doom and gloom, not at all, but this kind of stuff needs to be reported on. Go check it out. The fire that led to a deadly explosion at a West Texas fertilizer plant, you remember that? Nearly blew up the entire town. It looked like a nuclear explosion. We all remember it. And it happened 3 years ago. Now, today, it was announced that it was intentionally set. The announcement was today. I watched the entire press conference. The blast devastated West Texas back in April 2013, killed 15 people, including 12 first responders, if you remember. The blast left a 100-foot crater. Investigators determined that someone started the fire on purpose after conducting over 400 interviews, lab work on evidence, and this came from officials from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives, and authorities will not comment on whether if they know of a suspect, but they say they are hot on the trail of someone. Still, those videos are just burned in to my frontal lobes. Well, so much for the golden era of, the UK-China relations that they were boasting, because the Queen Mother, has been caught on camera saying that Chinese officials were, and I'm quoting here from the Queen Mother herself, very rude during President Xi Jinping's first state visit to the United Kingdom that happened last year. The comments, though, this is what's bizarre. The comments were caught on their own cameras by Buckingham Palace's own staff as the Queen greeted a senior Metropolitan Police officer. The Queen's remarks were made on the same day, and this is when it's bad, right? It goes really bad, because her remarks were made on the same day as the UK Prime Minister David Cameron was caught on camera telling the monarch that Nigeria is this thing on, that Nigeria and Afghanistan were, quoting, fantastically corrupt. Cameron, speaking about an upcoming anti-corruption summit, said that they were possibly the two most corrupt countries in the world, end quote. David Cameron and the Queen Mother on the same day. Just, I guess, pretty much telling it like it is. When you go and you watch the video of the Queen Mother and she makes these comments, it is hilarious. It is crystal clear, too. There is no second guessing what she really meant. Well, police in New Lenox, Illinois say that They recently responded to a report of a domestic disturbance at the home of 25-year-old Daniel Murphy. Now, during the officers' investigation at the home, though, Murphy decided to secretly record the officers. He then told the officers what he was doing, which led to his arrest. Murphy was then taken to the Will County Adult Detention Facility, where he was charged with, check this, misdemeanor assault and felony eavesdropping without consent. He was also later charged with aggravated battery to a police officer and a misdemeanor false report to a public safety agency. Though right now it's completely unclear if these charges were related to the alleged eavesdropping incident or the domestic disturbance complaint. And this is where it gets funky. He was charged with eavesdropping without consent. Now, that makes no sense. None. I expect these charges to be dropped. They have to be. You know why? If he had surveillance equipment and video cameras installed in his home and they're running and the police show up and they're recording everything, are you saying to me and to the rest of the country that you can get arrested for that? I think not. The issue here is that the police don't want to be videotaped because they don't want to be caught doing something wrong or inappropriate. I understand this is a domestic disturbance call, and they don't know what to expect when they get there. And of course, 25-year-old Daniel Murphy is guilty before charge in a case like this because they arrive assuming certain things, and I get that. But let me tell you something. Just because he chose to videotape says to me that he was scared and that maybe these guys were acting inappropriately. And that's why they got upset. And that's why they arrested him, because they were angry at him. And it's not their job to be angry or to be pissed off because somebody has chosen to videotape you. If he had a security system in his house, tapes are rolling, or anybody else in this country over at my house, and the police show up for whatever reason, and you're going to arrest me because I have a security system installed with video cameras running? Now, trust me, there are video cameras at our front door and the back running 24/7. You know, and if I don't know why or how or what or when the police would show up. It could be for any reason. It could be my neighbors next door and they want to ask me questions. Whatever. I don't care. But if the video cameras are running, that ain't my problem. That's yours. So behave. I am. Are you? Can't arrest me for that. They've got to drop these charges. And if he needs an attorney, I'll represent this guy. I want to know what's on those tapes. That's the other thing. Isn't that now evidence? They arrested him for it. Well, the headline read, tests find rat and human DNA in U.S. hamburgers. That's the headline. Well, immediately, I'm flipping this story over 180 degrees, right? Okay, and this is what the story... Now, the headline, listen to me, tests find rat and human DNA in U.S. hamburgers. And that's a holy crap moment, isn't it? Oh, come on. So, this is what the article said. Think that burger you're biting into is all beef? Even if it's advertised that way, there's a small chance that you could ingest substituted ingredients or even contaminants from rats or humans, according to a new study. Immediately, I call BS. BS meters just ding, 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 off the chart. Because it continued on with this little gem. A report from the California-based food analytics company Clear Labs, it should be Clear Doofus Labs, by the way, sampled 258 hamburger products. 258, including ground beef, frozen patties, fast food, and veggie burgers. 3 of the samples had traces of rat DNA, and one was positive for traces of human DNA. It's just like the stupidest article that could ever be printed and released. Tests find that rat and human DNA is in U.S. hamburgers. Hands put hamburgers together. There's DNA all over it. Doesn't mean that human meat is in there. And that's what the headline implies, doesn't it? Rat DNA? There should be everything DNA in all 258 samples. I am shocked that it was only 3. And then actually, after I'm done reading it, it just makes those burgers taste that much better, because it seems to me that we're in all clear. Thank you for the article. Well, it's going down. Mordor. That's right, Lord of the Rings. Mordor's volcanic alert level has risen to heightened unrest. New Zealand is telling nature lovers and nerds alike to steer clear of an active volcano in a national park that doubled as Mordor in the Lord of the Rings films. As you know, Peter Jackson filmed everything in New Zealand. An alert was raised for Mount Raphihu in North Island's Tongariro National Park. The volcano last erupted in 2007, and the country's Department of Conservation warned that everyone should stay out of the area known as the Summit Hazard Zone, which is over a mile from the center of Crater Lake. Temperatures in the lake have risen from 77 degrees Fahrenheit to 115 degrees since mid-April, and the alert level is at heightened unrest. You need to go and check out the pictures over on our website. Also, back in New Zealand, we've just posted this. There's a chart that we have. Over the past 6 years, 10 unexplained UFO sightings have been recorded by authorities in New Zealand. Now, there's no close encounters with little green men or flying saucers or anything like that, but all of them are unexplained. The most recent sighting was on March 30th of this year, when an unidentified falling light was seen in Tasman Bay near Nelson. Go check it out over on our Facebook page, JimmyChurchRadio.com. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Thank you to Linda Moulton Howe for being the very best. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Victoria. And thank you to everybody that called in tonight and got your passes to Contact in the Desert. Fade to Black's executive producers, Rita Kamarian. Shows produced by Hilton J. Paul, Mark D. Kovar, LJ3, Renee, Mark Dunbar, Jonas. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vito, and Mark D. Kovar. Fady by Dale. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy. SpaceboyMusic.com. Fade to Black.